Hello, it's Monday Market 15, the 15-minute show that takes about 30 minutes. Rob Morales, RCO Network, coming at you live here in Phoenix, Arizona, Studio 110. RCO Network, good people, better business, discovering the best of you. So every Monday, we bring you information about the Phoenix housing market. But joining me today is the bright, the beautiful, the bodacious, Miss Ashley Miriere.
Hello.
There she is, everybody. Everyone is waiting for you to come on. And, it's such a joy to have you here on a Monday, as usual, as always, Miss.
I know, we missed last week because you were visiting your mom.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know. It's still kind of going through this thing, but, we come and we do what we need to.
We do.
Because we're professional that way. We try to act that way. You know what, Ash? It hurts so good.
Sometimes it hurts so good. Sometimes buying a house can hurt so good.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking just before the show started on how Ashley and I just recently bought homes. Me was a couple weeks ago, and
it is the most rewarding, painful thing we've ever been through.
Oh God, yeah. So like, I get in my mind that I can do basically anything and everything. You watch a YouTube video and like, oh, shit, I can do that. Yeah, that's easy. And then you go and you're like, oh shit, I got to buy that tool. And I missed that. I bought these like screw things, like galvanized screws, and then they're too big for the hole. So then I got to go return them and then buy all these galvanized. It's like this whole thing and a project that I'm like, okay, I can do this in like 2 hours. It took me 2 freaking days, and I only did half of it.
Right. Oh, I learned that a lot.
God.
Not only with my own house, but the property that we had that we were remodeling and flipping. Yeah. I own more tools than probably most men. I think I've mentioned that before.
I think you definitely own more tools than me.
I can guarantee
and
that.
I'm most men.
Guarantee, but there's so many things going through that. And this is, I have to say, this is not just for the first home buyers. Like, this is not my first house I've bought. My personal home, and this is definitely not the first house you've bought.
Correct.
So when we talk about the pain and the hurt of buying a house, it's not just for the first-time home buyers.
Correct.
It's for pretty much anybody right now buying a home.
Well, it's painful money-wise, right? You're putting a large down payment. You're being competitive with somebody else. You're probably putting in more than asking. Based off the numbers, you're putting in at least $10,000 more than what the list price is. And once you get in, you realize, especially if it's a new resale home, how much freaking work there is. I bought that house a couple weeks ago knowing that I had to replace the roof, knowing that I had to put in the AC, but I got it at list price. Right, I didn't have to bid, 40, 50,000 over. So I'm like, okay, justifiably so. I'm like, okay, I didn't have to overbid, so I'll put that money in the house. But realize, like, the AC is taking a couple days to do, a couple extra days than what anticipated. The roofing hasn't even started yet, and then my hands, because I decided to work on my porch, they're taking a beating. Plus the rest of me, I'm like, so tired.
You need a manicure?
I need a pedi. I really need the massage.
Yesterday.
The mani I can hold off on, but the pedi, oh my God, if somebody's out there willing to do that for free, because I'm putting all my money into this house.
No, exactly. I mean, we're sacrificing so much in our lives to purchase a home, and they say, like, first-time home buyers, you want to buy your dream home. You hear about that all the time. Yeah. Guess what? This is not going to be your dream home. Yeah, not right now, not in this market.
And there's a recent article that we pulled up here. It's 6 first-time home buyer hopes and dreams that are completely delusional today. And yeah.
Well, you just have to be prepared. Like, you can create your dream home, purchase a home, have the vision, and create it by putting in the work, buying the tools, sweat and tears and a lot of beers, and create that. But trying to walk into, you used to be able to just pick and choose what you wanted and walk into your dream home and you have all these options. Well, it's not an option anymore. So are you willing to put in the time and the effort it takes to create your vision of what you would think is your dream home? And or we're going to have to change our vision sometimes.
Yeah, and really this market is not for first-time home buyers. Unfortunately, you know, I wish it was a different scenario. Looking at some of the labor statistics, I might as well pull those up. Let me pull those up here. Looking at the median,
This is
or no,
killer.
is this median or average? This is average. So the average income in Maricopa County is roughly $1,219 a week, which is by my calculations, it's $58,000 a year. Which is I think just above the national statistics for
54,000.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, which is you know pretty fair for Phoenix to be in. But as you look a little bit further, as you dig into it just a little bit more, $58,000 buys you about a $300,000 home. Woohoo!
Right. It's a little scary. 'Cause there's not very many available.
No, and I'll pull that up too. Look, where am I at?
So this is not a discouraging conversation, but this is something where we really need to find ways to think outside the box and prepare ourselves. So when you're going to get a mortgage and they're asking you about your financials, and you may be able to get a DPA, down payment assistance loan, or an FHA loan where they'll pay a portion of your down payment. But then again, how are you going to afford it?
Yeah.
And what can you afford is your agent. This is the biggest deal right now, in my opinion. If you do go into one of these DPAs or FHA loans, excuse me. I don't know why
She's choking on a. She decided to eat a Crustable just before we got on, and then she's choking as we're starting.
Peanut butter is like, but talking. Here's a perfect example. You find this cute little place. It's remodeled. It's maybe in the area you want, maybe not, but it fits your need. It checks off a bunch of the boxes, right? Nothing is perfection. Everything's imperfectly perfect. And you have one of those, and you realize that it's a condo community, and it's less than 50% occupied by owners. Wah, wah, wah. Your lender and your real estate agent have to be in tune and understand not only what can you afford, but where you can buy and what you can buy.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, a lot of first-time home buyers are going to be FHA eligible. Right. You know, and people tend to say that's the first-time home buyer program.
But it limits them from a lot of options.
Correct, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up right now since we're talking about it again.
We're constantly talking about it. But
so I'm going to put, typically with single-family and townhouses in the Phoenix area, pretty much Phoenix proper, I'm including East Valley too, we're looking at about 247 homes. And from what my understanding is, about 300 people moving in per day in Phoenix. So unfortunately, there's a lot of competition. So I don't want to poop on anybody's parade, but I mean that is something to realize as you come into this market. And you know, I'm pooping and I don't have enough toilet paper, to be frank, I guess, in this market.
Well, you could, I mean, and you can always, I mean, there.
It was oh my God. Anyways, yes. I'm sorry.
You know, but there's always, as people say, the option of a new build. Let's talk about that.
And new builds, yes. And really there's not enough. New builds, right now the cost of materials is high. So I think a lot of new build contracts, the one thing you got to look out for in new build contracts is to see if there's like some sort of a mandatory clause or something that amends the price of the home based on labor, based on materials.
Labor goes up, price goes up.
Correct. You know, and there may be a guarantee clause or a non-guarantee clause that they're going to be able to complete on time. So I would anticipate anywhere from like 10 to 12 months for a completion on a new build right now.
Yeah, and you could get your portion of a dream home. Yep. My biggest thing with a new build, please do not walk into a new build community without a real estate agent representing you. I feel like that's a must. Because when you walk in, now you become their client. And who's going to be your advocate? Who's going to be the person that's going to talk for you? Read through that contract and make sure you understand, like Robert was saying, are those clauses where as material goes up, the price could go up? Or are you set at that price regardless? if the material goes up.
Yeah, the one thing that people aren't aware of and really should be, if they go in and they put a signature on a new house, and they really incentivize you to. They're like, oh, you have to sign today, otherwise it's going to be gone tomorrow. We have 5 other people looking at that same lot. We have 4 other people putting in a bid today, but you know what? You came in here first. I'm going to go ahead and, I mean, there's so much pressure they put on you. You know, I had a relative that went in and didn't realize when she put in her offer, and this is in Tucson, so I don't normally cover Tucson. She put in they gave her a contract to sign and didn't realize that she just completely lost the earnest money as soon as she deposited it. You know, so that was $5,000. Like, she either makes or breaks. You know, there's no, like, in a normal resale, you have about 10 days to inspect a home and decide whether it's a home for you, and you can walk away with your earnest money. But yeah, not on a new build. You lose it.
Write that check.
As soon as you go in,
gone.
Yeah.
And that's a scary part. And you can go through litigation, by the way, because I had done that. I had put in down in South Valley. Gosh, this was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was going to buy a new build. Gave my earnest money and realized I had no freaking clue what I was doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get out of this. Yeah. I ended up getting out of it because I didn't have a real estate agent to represent me.
Yeah.
And the person that had me sign all the paperwork wasn't a licensed real estate agent. They were just a representative.
Yeah,
so I got out of it.
Yeah, I think there's office staff that can have you sign, and then it's co-signed by an actual agent.
But the agent wasn't there to go through the paperwork with me. So, regardless if there is an agent in that office, please have it bring somebody with you.
I think the biggest benefit, and the one that people don't normally talk about, are the emotions. Mm-hmm. So if you go and find an agent, you know, especially a newer agent, most of the time they just want the sale. You know, and I was like that too. So I mean, there was a time and pressure that I had. I just wanted to get the sale because I needed, to work, But after a while, you realize, and this is part of fiduciary duty, is to be mindful of the person's emotions.
What are the 5 fiduciary duties?
Oh, I don't know. Truthful, honest. I do them all. Yeah. What are the other 3? Oh, I caught her on it.
No, I know, because I've actually been going through real estate school, and I'm constantly reading about stuff like that. And I actually just read about the 5 fiduciary duties. So
I think at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is, are you putting your interests aside and really thinking of the person and where they're at? And sometimes you get emotional. Sometimes you just want a house, or like you have to move out in 60 days. You gave your notice. Having a baby, you want to have a baby. You want to everything set up by the time that baby comes. I mean, there's so many other external pressures that financially sometimes it doesn't make sense to get into a new build, especially in this market.
Well, and getting excited. I only bring up the baby thing is because I had lunch with this gentleman. He's younger, and his girlfriend, well now wife, whatever, they're pregnant, and they're like, yeah, we got this new build, and we're so excited, and they said they moved it from December to March, and the baby's due in June. Okay. So they moved it from December to March.
Yeah, it's 4 months.
Baby's due in June. So I would just anticipate setting up your nursery where you're still living.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. We have to be honest with ourselves when we're purchasing, even looking for a home or purchasing a home. If you're going to buy a home and you're going to remodel it, and you're like, oh, I'm going to get this done in 2 hours, and it's 2 days later and you're half done. Or like when I flipped that house and I said, I'm going to have this done in 3 weeks, and 6 weeks later and $3,000 over budget. It happens, but we have to mentally prepare ourselves, and we also need our advocates.
Yeah, and I would say the only cautionary tune to actually pay attention to when it comes to new build is your financing. A lot of them will pre-qualify you at the builder. You'll get a letter or whatever. You don't really even see it. You don't really even talk to anybody, but that's not really something to be conscious of. I mean, it is, but really the thing is interest rates. Mm-hmm. Just because you qualify for a home today, if it's a new build and that construction takes place, 10, 12 months from now,
where the rate's going to be.
They're going to qualify you again that 10th, 11th, or 12th month.
Where's your income going to be?
Between 30 to 45 days before close.
Yeah.
And you don't know what interest rates are going to be at that point. You don't know what your economic situation will be. You could have a pay raise, or you could lose a job. I don't know. I mean,
don't be such a negative Nancy.
There could be anything that happens.
Anyway.
But there's just a lot of time there to kind of for shit to happen. Well, and I would encourage, if you're buying a new build, to really look at something more that's going to be completed within 30 to 60 day time frame, or a spec home, if there's any out there. I mean, I haven't really seen too many spec homes.
Well, I know East Valley, Santana area, they have that whole new development coming on. Everyone's so excited about that whole new development. And
Which
I'm
one?
thinking, oh my, there's a ton that are going out there, right?
There's a few, yeah, but
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if there was one in particular.
No, this is not in particular, but everyone's excited. Like there's new builders, new builds.
Oh, yeah.
And we get so excited, but where you are today, just based upon what you're saying, they announced it. When are they going to break ground? How long is it going to take? Just don't get too excited, because I have noticed, or what I have recognized in the past year is disappointment. Yeah. Setting an expectation and then being disappointed.
I have a whole weekend of disappointment. Thinking I was changing out the posts in my porch area because they're all dry rotted out.
Yeah.
And the beams are heavy, but my inner dad was starting to come out, and I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I can do that. It's not working. It's not that easy. It was hurting more than working.
I was gonna redo the shutters on the front of my house. I was like, okay, I bought the wood. I have it all planned out. I went on Pinterest. I'm like super excited. I got the kids there to help. Yeah. I can't get the old shutters off. I'm like in there trying to chisel them out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I got my kids out there. I'm like, I need somebody that's actual professional, which I ended up buying the tool anyway. So now that I have the tool, I'm going to do it myself. But you get this excitement. And I guess the key is to not create these expectations for yourself that are so high and then get disappointed when you can't accomplish them, or disappointed when they don't happen for you. Just know that I like the word, it's a goal.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right. It's a journey. Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination. I bought the wood. Yes. I bought the stain. Awesome. Now I have the tools. Great. It's the process of it that you have to appreciate. Yeah. And just not, I'm reiterating this. You cannot be disappointed if things don't work out, because we're in this weird economy, weird space. We can't even get contractors to show up to do things, so we have to DIY them, and we think we've got our dad mode in. We can't judge ourselves. We can't be angry. We can't be mad. No, they're going to spend way more money than you anticipate. It's just emotionally preparing yourself. And you said something earlier today. I think I wrote it down somewhere.
Can talk at the mic.
I think I wrote it down somewhere about. Oh, I didn't write it down, but you said it. Was just having that person that is there that you can rely on.
Yeah, as far as an agent goes, I mean, I think when you're being sold versus when somebody's helping you, and I think you generally feel it. But if your emotions are just too high and you're just so focused on the house and not really realizing the other aspects of it, I went into the house when I bought it, knowing there's going to be repair work and knowing how much there was initially. I mean, I already knew off the top I was going to be spending about $26,000 just in AC and roof repair. But then you start, once you start peeling back the paint a little bit, you start seeing all these other things and another thing, and it's like, okay, so was this the smartest thing to do? I'm fixing this house up for somebody else to enjoy, because I'm not enjoying it right now.
No, you're going to enjoy it in the long run.
Yeah. And annoy my neighbors.
What do you think, in your opinion, should be the anticipated cost? Not the anticipated cost of what homes are priced over, but the anticipated cost once you get in there. Make sure you have at least X amount of dollars in your bank account because of whatever it may be. I
guess it just depends on your down payment. If you're really stretching yourself and buying a resale home, it depends on the age, depends on what you find during the inspection. But I would keep a good amount of money. If it's a newer home, you probably don't have to replace the AC. Like mine, it's built in 1992. And I don't think the roof's been touched since then because there's just so many issues. AC, again, I think they replaced it somewhere between then and now.
But you knew that. You were prepared.
But yeah.
I'm saying for unprepared costs.
I would say anywhere from again, age. So if it's a newer house, I keep between 10 to 15. But if it's an older house, about 25 to 30, you know, because the older it is, before 1985, I'd be really concerned about plumbing. You know, if it's 80s and older, then I'd be concerned about biological stuff like, lead-based paint, asbestos, especially when you start going in there and start peeling back that popcorn ceiling.
Well, they have to sign a form.
Yeah.
Like that. But I noticed that. So with my house, I'm going, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And it's small little things. And I wrote, oh my gosh, this is very overwhelming. So not last weekend, but the weekend before, I wrote down this whole checklist of all the things that are wrong with my house. And I remodeled my house, but I also didn't go in my attic during the remodel because the contractors did. Yeah. And there are so many problems. And as I'm going through, I'm going, oh my gosh, okay, I can't be overwhelmed. I just need to start from the top.
Yeah.
What can I afford right now? What is priority? And just start from the top and then write it down, because there's some sort of satisfaction in being able to check it off. And then writing goals. Okay, if this is going to cost this dollar amount, how can we take away from, maybe going to Starbucks, or which I don't do, but I don't know what my vice is.
I know what your vice is.
Bourbon. Everyone knows my vice is bourbon. No, but I spoil the kids.
Yeah.
Big time. Ridiculously spoil them. So no, maybe Ryder is not going to get the brand new iPhone or the new iPhone case that he's looking at or something. I take away from certain spaces in my life where I enjoy giving things to my children, but I also don't want my house to burn down from, electrical issues. So I'm like, okay, if I take from here, I put it in this pot. If I put it in this pot, what's my priority? And check it off. It's just managing yourself, managing your emotions, managing your time, knowing what you can do yourself, knowing what you have to pay for, how you have to. Yeah. It's like a game of Tetris.
And don't think you could do everything yourself, because I went in there and I started cutting up the AC duct. There was an extra duct in there. Didn't realize there was an electric line in there. And then I cut. You should see the Sawzall. It's there's this flare from where it cut the electrical. And now I have another problem.
Robert's
so if Sherman's out there, Sherman, the electrical in that particular part of the house isn't working. So just let you know. So I kind of caused more problems to have to pay for and fix. So even stuff like that. So there's a lot to consider when you're buying a home, and the direction of the future is really what people come and ask about. They want to know the value of the homes. Are they going to be affordable later on? And that's kind of the transition right now. We were last week or the week before, we were talking about supply increasing, but I looked this week. Hold on, let me show you. It's flatlining. Where am I at? Where's my?
People are just buying up, and this is in fact we have, in my opinion, from what I've read, it's not even investors anymore. This is people. Families coming in and trying to purchase homes.
We're still we're flatlining. We're not increasing. There was some anticipation earlier in October, that we would see increase in supply, and you would see a flood of houses, and then you'd be
for all the foreclosure.
Just run out there and go get one. No, it's not. And I'm concerned that the prices of homes are going to continue to increase into next year. So if you're planning on a major crash in the market, crash isn't on the table from what I'm seeing. There's nothing relating to that. And I think people are hoping for that. They want that big correction. And with the number of down payments, like the large down payments, the number of cash purchases, it's really hard to predict. I was very crash heavy this last year, but as things have panned out, as people have paid, 50, 60,000 into a house, more than what the house is worth, we're in a very stable housing market.
And we're not. It's not going to change. And I've been telling you this for forever. That it's not changing.
There's always that hope. Let me go to this article.
Hope is not a strategy.
Hope is my strategy. Hope is just not your strategy.
No, hope is. I do have a tattoo on my ankle though in kanji that says hope, and it's definitely not been a very good strategy in my life.
So, Ms. Miller, what do the experts say about the housing market next year? Hold on. Experts are coming at you next year. What did they say, Ms. Miller? Sorry.
Well, I think the biggest thing that is going to happen is we are going to see a lower increase in equity. Yeah. So right now, I think anybody who bought, what would we say, between 2019 to 2020, their equity gained about approximately 19 to 33%. So next year, 2022, we're still going to see an increase in equity, but only maybe by, 10%.
And I think, again, it's relating to the people that are coming from out of state. There's statistics showing that we're not really we're increasing our population about 300 a day in Phoenix. So people are coming in, coming out. So from the last one of the articles that I read, not in this one, we're having about 300 people come in a day, on average. Mm-hmm. So that's the significant amount. And when you go back to, let me go back to that one. This is if you're in the market for a white picket fence house. I'm going to show you how many are available.
You need to change your perspective.
Under 300,000, we're looking at about 127 active in this market right now in Phoenix.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot. This is for purchasing. For rentals, right. It's just as minimal, and so there's a lot of competition still. Well, and normally this time of year things slow down and then ramp up again back in January. But if we're this slow now, I can only imagine what January is going to bring.
I want to bring up something about rentals. I thought this was so interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
So in my neighborhood, I wanted to look up what rentals were in my neighborhood, and
let me look those up too.
Keep talking. So intrigued that I could buy my house the way I bought my house with a DPA, down payment assistance, bought it, was able to do what I did with it. My mortgage is $2,260 a month, right? Renting a house in my neighborhood is anywhere between $2,600 and $3,200.
Yeah.
So I bought a house with no money down. My mortgage is $2,260. But if I want to rent, I'm going to have to put first month, second month security deposit, and then my payment will be between $2,500, $3,200. Point is, don't be afraid to purchase a home. Did I think I was going to buy a home in the area I bought it in? No. I didn't.
H-E double hockey stick?
Yeah, I didn't. But I am appreciative that I was able to purchase that home and know that at this point I do have equity and I'm paying less when renters are. So don't be, I know this whole thing sounds very discouraging. The point is change your mindset.
Yeah.
Change your expectations and research the area you want to live in. Find somebody, like Robert or an agent that knows your area, that's willing to be your advocate. Don't think that going and buying a new home is going to be your savior, because it's not. And just saddle up. Figure it out. You got to do your research. You have to do your research.
Yeah, and I don't want people to be discouraged. I mean, this is just being realistic,
It is realistic,
and I started my home buying process, I want to say about 10, 11, or at least 10, 11 months ago.
Yeah.
And really looking. I mean, before that it was just like, but really looking for the past, I would say, year, and it took 11 months to find the right one, and the right one was just the one that was available. It was.
No,
I will
that's
tell
why
you,
I got mine. It was available, and I was like.
I will tell you, like, the expectations I had as far as the perfect house for me aren't this house that I purchased. It was just an opportunity and something to buy, and work on.
That's a key word, opportunity.
Correct.
You have to look at this right now as an opportunity, and that's how I look at my house. This is not my forever home. This was an opportunity to purchase a house, not necessarily what I wanted, be able to spend time remodeling it, learning things, and know that it's going to increase in equity, and that eventually if I do want to hold on to it and rent it out, I can, and it's going to cover my mortgage. Opportunity. What are the opportunity costs of what you're doing?
Yeah, because like I said, this isn't the house. This isn't the dream house, but there was a lot of things with it that, like, said, you know what, I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to put in the money, despite not being the perfect house, and I'm hoping that there's a payoff in the end, and that's all you can hope for. But hope is not strategy.
No, it's not. And when you rent, it's 100% an investment to somebody else. Yeah. It is 100% investment.
So I would say if you are getting ready for this market and actually getting ready for 2022, it's, get your battle scars, put your Band-Aids on, get your shield and sword out there, because it's going to be a little bit more bumpy ride, I think, until interest rates increase. And the Fed is anticipated to increase rates mid next year, so mid-June. Yeah. The market rates are increasing, and that's only because, there's a little bit more competition. But I will say the Fed rates, as soon as they start raising up, I think they're anticipated to raise 0.25% in June to kind of like a slow easing back.
Next year, yeah.
And so we have a good 6 months to kind of at these lower interest rates. And I know in history, from experience, the interest rates tend to go up in February, just naturally anyway, just because.
So don't overspend on your credit cards during Christmas. Don't overdo yourself.
Yeah,
Christmas is about family, not about presents, not about money.
I'm going to Ash's
homemade gifts. No, but it's like we're getting in that time with the holidays when everyone racks up their credit cards and credit scores drop, and then New Year's, and then everyone's like, "Oh, my New Year's resolution is to do this." Create your resolutions now. Don't use your credit cards. Save your money to buy a house, and keep moving forward. Your kids are not going to care. They're not going to remember 10 years from now that you didn't get them that brand new Barbie doll or whatever.
It's people that make the home, not the home itself.
Right. You can make a house a home if you choose to do that. Oh, that was a good ending.
I know. Yeah. Well, anyway, we're here about every Monday, Monday Market 15, talking about real estate news. And Miss Ashley Miller, thank you so much for being you, for being as fabulous as you are, bringing the information that you hear. I am Robert Morales, RCO Network. We'll catch you guys next Monday.
Next Monday.
Adios.